Welcome to The Lowdown, the newest podcast from Belden Communications, hosted by yours truly, Wayne Belden, president of Belden Communications, and co-hosted by my son, John Belden, vice president of Belden Communications. Listen on the first Friday of each month to The Lowdown as John and I chat and get candid with those in the know about the hottest issues affecting all of us in Volusia and Flagler Counties. We'll sometimes get loud and sometimes hilarious, but always educational and informational about the challenging aspects of issues facing us all. Which topics will we cover and who will be our guests? You'll just have to listen to find out. You can hear our podcast on your favorite podcast app on the first Friday every month at 2 p.m. Be sure to tune in because whatever topic we're covering, we'll be giving you The Lowdown. Welcome to The Lowdown, a podcast created with you in mind. This is where we talk about issues with pertinent guests that affect all of us in Volusia and Flagler counties. And we hope to be able to have guests on our podcast with direct influence on the issues at hand and get something done, or at least help to get things issued and issues resolved. So let's get things started by introducing my co-host, my son John, who's vice president of Belden Communications. John, welcome to The Lowdown. Glad to have you, son.
I'm glad to be here. It's going to be a good one. Our guest today is very well known in the area, and I very much have been a fan of his style, so I'm excited about today's podcast. Along with us is the producer of The Lowdown, our producer there, Phil Bird. How you doing there, Mr. Phil?
Hey, everybody. I'm glad to be here, and I want to learn some new information here. I watched a lot of footage from you guys, and I like it.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, well, today's podcast is brought to you by Country Inn and Suites by Radisson in Port Orange, Florida. John, why don't you tell us, our listeners, something about your sponsor that we've got today?
Absolutely, guys. Soak up the Florida sun at Country Inn and Suites by Radisson in Port Orange, conveniently located just off I-95 and only minutes from the beach. Country Inn and Suites by Radisson Port Orange makes a great launching pad for your Florida beach vacation. The whole family can play in the surf at beautiful New Smyrna Beach or enjoy roller coasters and go-karts at Daytona Beach's 3 amusement parks, all less than 12 miles from this hotel. NASCAR fans won't want to miss the races at the iconic Daytona International Speedway, while bargain hunters can score deals at nearby Tanger outlets. So basically, guys, there's something for everybody. And for a change of pace, climb to the top of Florida's tallest lighthouse at Ponce de Leon Inlet for stunning coastal views. For more information, book your stay now at portorangeconnection.com/Country Inn Suites.
So, we are honored to have as our guest Volusia County Sheriff Mike Chitwood. Sheriff Chitwood began his law enforcement career in November of 1988 with the Philadelphia Police Department. Go Eagles. In May of 2005, he became the police chief at Shawnee, Oklahoma. In 2006, he applied for and was selected as the chief of police in Daytona Beach, Florida. And in 2016, he was successful in being elected sheriff of Volusia County. In 2020, he was reelected without opposition. Sheriff Chitwood, welcome to The Lowdown. Glad to have you.
Wayne, it's a pleasure, and thank you for reading my obituary.
Your obituary.
You know, I wanted to talk to you. When I saw you were at Shawnee, Oklahoma, you and I took kind of similar paths in our careers because I'm a New York City boy, and you're a Philadelphia boy, so we got that Northeastern culture, okay? And from there, you went out to Pawnee, Oklahoma, okay? I enlisted in the Air Force, and I went to Wichita, Kansas, which is the Midwest.
Yes,
so,
yeah.
And I don't know how you found it, but I found a tremendous different culture between Wichita and Kansas and New York City.
Absolutely. And Shawnee was the same way. I mean, you know, the tallest building was the Hampton Inn. It was 3 stories high. I wondered why. And then one of those things called a tornado came rolling through.
Boy.
And I said, I got this now.
Right. That's the way it was in Kansas. Yeah. Not very tough. Kansas is the home of, out there they call them twisters. I mean, they're bad. Yep. They're not like what we get here. They get some real bad stuff.
So they build everything low to the ground to avoid that, is what you're saying.
Low to the ground, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, we learn a lot here on The Lowdown.
Yeah. They very seldom do you see anything over 40 feet high in Wichita.
And you don't see seagulls either.
No.
No.
You don't see any seagulls.
No seagulls.
I guess
Well, listen, we want to get, normally podcasts or even programs like on broadcast have show programs like this, and they start out with a little bit of a tease before they go to the real heavy thing. Well, we're going to start right with the heavy thing because this is what our listeners asked us about, that they wanted to hear about most, and that is the mass shootings in our schools.
Yep.
How are we prepared for such a tragedy?
Great question, and it is a question I get every day. I can tell you that since Parkland, the state of Florida has opened up a lot of resources for us. There's 3 ways to protect schools in the state of Florida. The school board has the option to form their own police department. You can contract with the sheriff's office and police departments to have a gun on every campus, or you can start a guardian program where most of those folks are former military, former law enforcement. They undergo intense firearms training, cultural diversity training, mental health training, and then they're put into schools. That's what Volusia County opted to do. There is a shortage of law enforcement officers around the country. There's no way we could put a law enforcement officer in every school. So that's the first step. There is a gun in every public school and charter school in Volusia County.
Wow.
It's amazing. So my daughter goes to Silver Sands at middle school, and I think about when I went there. And when I was there was no gates, there was no metal bars or anything. And then you start to wonder, how was that never a thing actually up to this point, you know? And it's scary that we got to this point. But the question I'd like to ask, if you don't mind, Dad, is that the 3 things that you just listed, right? Is there a preferred method, or is it like, hey, we love all 3?
I think you need all 3 in today's day and age. The high schools have a combination there. You have a guardian and a sworn law enforcement officer on the campus, because the high schools they're gigantic here.
Yes,
it's not
they are.
Not like up north where you walked in the main door and you walked out the main door because it was all self-contained. I mean, look at university. That's a college campus. It's so darn big,
right?
So that was the thought was get 2 guns on campus.
Gotcha.
For a high school.
Gotcha. Yeah, these.
Has there been an influx of applicants in the school for this guardian position?
We are fully staffed. The guardians are run by this. I train them under state statute. I have to train them. The guardians are employees of the school board, but they train with us. And right now, in the summer months, we pick a school. We've been out to Deltona High. We've been out to Champion Elementary. And at 4 o'clock in the morning, we put through our officers through an active shooter scenario. So they don't know what to expect. There's role-playing, there's bangs, there's shots fired. And they don't know. They just know, hey, you're showing up for training. And like everybody, I'm showing up for training.
Right.
Next thing you know, they're being dispatched into this active shooter scenario.
And that's why they're so sharp.
That's the way you have to do it. You have to train. Now, again, there's the human element in there.
Right.
Nobody knows how you're going to actually react till your bullets are flying in your direction.
Right.
But I'm pretty confident that with the amount of military folks I have in our organization, the number of folks who have been involved in actual combat with a bad guy, and we have all the equipment in our cars. We don't have to wait for a pry bar. We don't have to wait for a shield, because our SWAT officers are patrol officers, and they have all that equipment with them.
Really? So you guys do the
supervisors. And that's how we train. You have to make, in today's day and age, you have to make a moral and ethical decision. You're the first one there, whether it's me with a 6-shot revolver or whether it's one of my deputies. And you hear gunshots, you have to make a moral and ethical decision that I cannot wait. Every second that I wait, somebody's dying. I got to go in. And if I go down, nobody's coming to get me. So they have first aid kits that they could tourniquet themselves. God forbid should they get shot. And we're all trained. You got to let that person lay there. You got to go to the gunshots. When the gunshots end, then you do everything else.
See, and this is so important, and I'm sorry, Dad, but this is so important that you've discussed this, because people don't look at that aspect. This is what our law enforcement's on the day in and day out. That's what they go through. And
right. Now, wasn't there some kind of controversy at Uvalde with regard to their response?
It's still unfolding. I mean, I've been in law enforcement for 35 years. I'm a second-generation cop. I've been involved in 2 shootings in Philadelphia, 2 running gun battles. And to watch that video and watch an officer armed to the teeth with all of those heavy weapons, the body armor, running away from the gunshots, it just leaves this horrible.
I mean, I'm not a police officer for a reason, because that's not my makeup to want. Now, of course, if my kid's in there, I'm going to do anything. But I'm just saying, I'm not in that position. But the person who takes that position should be, I'm running in there.
Right.
And that's scary to watch any officer go hightail it.
But I think any combat veteran will tell you that in combat, there are folks that fold under pressure. I mean, we've had generals relieved of duty in World War II because they went to pieces when they actually were thrust into a battle.
I'm a combat veteran, so I know what you're talking about in Vietnam.
Yeah,
I know exactly what you're
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I always tell people when they say that, it was indeed an honor, not a pleasure. Because it was not fun, let me tell you. Let me talk about, recently we went to your new training center out there. I think that Steven Sabota.
Yep.
they call that, Deputy Training Center. How many graduating classes have there been there so far?
Our first one of 24 graduated on my birthday, November 30th of last year. Class number 2 is slated to graduate in a couple weeks. Class number 3 starts in September. Class number 2 has, I think, 22 in it, and this next class we're looking to get 20 into.
That was going to be my next question. Have you had an increase in recruits?
Absolutely. We're getting, when we go out there, we're getting several hundred people to apply.
Really?
And when we started this thing, I was almost 80 deputies down. And the current model in the state of Florida of, you go to a state college, you go through 700 hours of training, and then I hire you, and then I bring you back in and retrain you. It just wasn't cutting it. COVID,
Right.
They shut down. Here, we apply to us. The day I hire you, you are our employee. You're being trained by the best and the brightest in my organization. You're in the pension fund. You're being paid a decent wage, and I'm paying for your medical benefits.
And I get a new car too, right?
And you get a new car when you graduate.
Sweet.
I mean,
Wow,
we're laying it all out there
Hey,
for you.
the heck with this job.
Right, well, let's go, man.
The problem with the new car is, like everything else, the new kids who crashes the most, the new kids.
Yeah,
so you gotta
exactly.
You got to try to tamper down the new car thing because it's going to end up wrapped around a pole before it's all.
That's why I have
Right,
all the roll
right,
bars and stuff all over
right.
it.
Right.
Have any of your recruits volunteered to be school resource officers?
They have not yet. It's a specialized assignment, so we want them to really get their feet wet on the street before we were to move them in
Right.
there. I know that we sent 8 of that first class have gone to Deltona, and the city commissioners who have encountered them, they all commented on how squared away and how grateful we are of what we're doing because they could see we're bringing quality individuals in that we're screening from day one. And they're under our eye for 7 months. 7 months, 5 days a week, 10 hours a day. We're watching everything that they're doing. We're training them on what we want done. So that validated it for me when I heard the commissioner say, hey, we met some of these kids.
Right.
And they're fantastic. So we're off to something good.
Right. Now, doesn't Daytona State College have a training program as well? And you...
They do. Daytona State College does the generic training for everybody. It's a police academy. There's a bunch of the regional academies. I don't want good. I wanted great.
Right.
And the way to get great is, this isn't a knock against Daytona State. It's just that the world has changed. I don't need somebody teaching patrol tactics who hasn't been in patrol in 20 years.
100%.
Right.
No, there's something.
Very good point.
Textbook is only so far, right? You got to be
and,
real.
And our model is that you have to do the book work and you have to pass the state exams, but we follow that up with practical training.
100%.
An example is active killer training.
Right.
They learn the textbook, they learn the test, and then we take them out and put them in scenarios.
Yeah,
To
because
apply the learning. So it's one thing to memorize the facts and take the test, but now when they get out there on the street, what does this pyramid?
because it's always changing. So
always
you
changing.
have to a textbook was printed and you can't rewrite it necessarily that quick. But I agree with that method.
Right.
Very much so.
And it's been successful because the kids are passing the exams with flying colors. I mean, the class average is something like around 97, 98, and they take a battery of tests, legal tests, and they're just constantly testing.
Wow.
And I think that the method we're using of hammering home, okay, here it is in the book, here it is on paper, now let's go out and practice it, and then when they go back and take the actual exam, I get what they're saying. It's more than reading something out of a book or being lectured to in the front of a
Right.
classroom.
Of the new recruits, how many of them are women? Are they?
We are not seeing a lot of women apply. That is probably the lowest number when it comes to recruiting. We're getting a decent number of African Americans. We're getting a decent number of Hispanics. Women have not been.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I don't know. I think that when we opened it up and we said we're paying you a decent wage,
Right.
We're paying for your medical benefits, we're paying for your training. It doesn't cost you anything but come in and put the time in. I thought we would have been slain with young women, women from any walk of life saying, "Hey, I always wanted to be a cop. Here's an opportunity to do it in my home county,
Of course.
and everything's paid for me." But we're
Are the municipal police departments having that same problem?
we're all having a problem. Daytona Beach is like 40 officers down.
See, that's scary.
And Daytona's scary because it's Daytona.
Right.
And I know, of being the chief there, my actual strength was 250 during the economic downturn. I dropped down to 196. I was having a hard time answering 911 calls.
Wow.
Because you have all the special events that are going on, you have all these things, and you just don't have
Right.
the bodies to get it done. And that creates a problem for everybody.
Yeah. I want to go back toward the open when I read your bio. We're all very impressed with you. I think you know that. Everybody here thinks you're just doing a tremendous job as a sheriff. How did you become a police chief so fast after just, what was it, 8 years?
18.
No, but you joined the police department in Philadelphia?
It was there 18 years.
It was 18 years?
Yeah, when I left to go to Oklahoma. And I'll tell you the story. It's kind of a weird story, but from being in the military, sometimes you question yourself, how did this person ever get in a position of leadership?
Yes.
They can't find their nose with their forefinger.
Right.
And I worked for a lot of people like that. And I was in the homicide division one night and in a city with 400 murders. And I was Googling, because I was bored, police chief job opportunities. And 3 or 4 jobs popped up that fit my criteria. The most I had ever supervised as a lieutenant was 60 people. Had my degree, and I said, let me apply to these things. And they say, be careful what you wish for, because it comes true. So on the same day, I got offered the job in Shawnee, Oklahoma, and Hillsborough, North Carolina. A mentor of mine, John Timoney, who was the number 2 guy in the NYPD, went on to become the police chief in Philly and the police chief in Miami. Wow. I called him and said, hey, what do you think, boss? What do you think? He said, man, they're offering you a chance to be a chief and lead your own organization. You got to do it, because doors will fly open for your future. If you do this right and you stay out of trouble, the sky's the limit for you. You can have one hell of a career. So I said, you know what? I'm going to hold my nose and jump in and see what happens.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, it has been phenomenal. I would never imagine ended up in Daytona Beach, let alone running for office.
Right.
And surrounding myself with such incredible human beings. This has been a journey of a life. I got to tell you, I have no regrets in my professional.
Yeah, and you've done a hell of a job. Just the fact that, you always got down on the ground with everybody else. And that was something I always admired, just the hell out of it. It's just that, this guy's real deal. He's not just sitting behind a cozy desk and barking orders.
That's the worst part, is you get meeting to death.
Right.
That's the most frustrating part about my job. It's like, oh, my God, you wake up. I know I'm going to be in meetings from 7:30 until 9 o'clock tonight. Please, something happened.
Right,
Something happened. And I can get out of this.
Right.
Jeez, I'm awful sorry. I feel like if we took you away from
No,
all your meetings.
It's a good Friday, man. I'm bouncing all over the place. So,
yeah,
right, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, I feel bad. I had no meetings. I had to cancel the meeting. Don't worry, they make up for it on Monday.
I'm sure they
got
do.
me glued to the chair.
So I have to ask, what prompted you to decide to run for sheriff and leave your being police chief of Daytona Beach? If I remember correctly, you actually got recruited by a bunch of people.
I did. I was in Daytona 10.5 years. Ben Johnson, it was a January day. He stepped down. It was early January of 2016. He announced he was retiring. And my phone, I was out running, as a matter of fact. I was out running through Venetian Bay, through the woods back there. The phone went off. It was former Mayor Glenn Ritchie. It was current Mayor Derek Henry. It was the city manager, Jim Chisholm. It was a couple business people. And I'm like, why are all these people calling? I just sent it the voicemail. Then when I got done running, I started listening. I'm going, holy shit, Ben Johnson's retiring. So I made the calls back, and Glenn Ritchie, who has been like a stepfather to me, has said, a father, not a stepfather, he said, this job is tailor-made for you. Mm-hmm. I don't mean any disrespect toward the current sheriff, but sometimes you stay in power too long.
Right.
And here's an opportunity for you with your energy and your vision, with technology and everything. You really ought to consider running. So after much soul searching, I said, there's a lot of this I don't like. You got to ask people for money. I don't like asking people for money. I just don't like doing that. I'm not going to like campaigning. I like being me. I really appreciate it, but I'm really happy here. Mm-hmm. I have a job here. City manager's like, look, if you run and lose, which you're probably not, you still got your job here. You got nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose.
That was nice of him.
That's a safe bet.
Yeah, you can't lose, right?
Yeah.
Well, I turned it down. I said, thank you, and everybody went
He's
forward.
playing hard to get. I see what
right. Everybody went forward life. Fast forward to the Daytona 500, I'm outside directing traffic, as I do every year, at what's called the Point, Bill Franson ISB, and I cannot tell you the number of people who came out of that speedway, shook my hand, took a selfie with me, and said, you're a fool if you don't run for sheriff. We need you on a bigger
100%.
platform. And I went home that night, and I thought about it, and I said, city managers tell me I got nothing to lose. I'll throw my hat in. By then, it was too late. All the money had sailed. There was no backing. And I said, you know what? This is great. Now I have no pressure. I don't have anybody giving me money. I could be me. I could do what I want to do. Let's go for it. And the rest is history.
I mean, you don't need all that. You earned that reputation beforehand, and it's not like you needed some kind of advertising campaign. Your work was your advertising campaign.
Exactly. When you have a body of work for 10.5 years, you have the good, the bad, the dirty, the ugly.
Yep.
But when you walked into a room, I didn't have to wear a name tag.
Right. No,
everybody knew who I was, which was a good thing. And then election night, you could have knocked me over with a feather when they said you won outright. I said there was 5 of us in the race. And they said you got more votes than the other 4 put together.
What do you think you were known because of the work that you did, or because you kept getting hit on the bicycle?
Well, I didn't get hit on a bicycle until I became sheriff. So
I said, my goodness, this guy.
What's the bad thing with being sheriff? I got ran over twice.
I mean, I felt so bad.
Were they trying?
I think the second time they were trying.
The young lady, I watched the video clips, and I guess she was living with her grandfather or something, and the officer said, you know who she hit? And the grandfather was like, who? Was the sheriff. Sheriff, are you serious? Like, I would have been mortified.
He's a businessman here in Port Orange. He owns a pizza place on Clyde Morris.
Oh, get out of here.
So you have free pizza for life now, right?
He ain't giving me free pizza
Small
for life.
world,
but
man.
It really is.
Did she get a ticket?
She got arrested for leaving the scene of an accident.
Yeah, she like,
Actually,
wow.
They wanted to charge her with battery on somebody over 55 years of age. I'm like, whoa, I don't need that.
Yeah. You don't put that in the paper.
When you said they arrested her, what was it, City of Port Orange?
My crime suppression team arrested her.
okay.
What had happened, it was very fortuitous for me, was Waste Pro has cameras all over their trucks. The Waste Pro truck was behind her.
Oh,
And
wow.
She was Googling
Busted.
or shopping on Amazon.
Yes, you shop. That's what the article said.
And she hit me, and her mirror broke off in my back. So all I knew was a black car, and I remember bouncing on the roadway and saying, "SOB ain't stopping."
Yeah.
And the next thing I look up, and there's this Waste Pro driver standing over me with the big truck, and he said, "Hey, I'm on the phone with 911. We got this recorded." And then there's she went downtown West Boulevard, and she made a right to go to International Speedway Boulevard. And we have the county's ringed and tag readers, and there's a bunch of tag readers there. Sure enough, it gets her tag, and of course, it's got the car with the missing mirror and the video footage. It was a matter of time before they just tracked her down to death. I was still I wasn't out of the hospital by the time they had locked her up.
I mean, you hit and run, that's bad enough, but you hit and run the sheriff, man.
Yeah.
Wait, she told my
bad
deputies,
day.
I didn't hit anybody.
That's a bad day.
I hit a mailbox. A mailbox. Now, I've been called a lot of things. A mailbox?
Yeah, right? Yeah, come on here.
And that town west stretch is 1.5 miles of length. There ain't a mailbox out there.
Nope.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you learn quick.
Well, anyway, I think you're known as a real cool dude as far as being a sheriff. You are aware of that.
I may have an ex-wife or two that may want to.
Well, I got 2 of those myself. So
whole other race, like
I understand how you feel.
They may wanna-
But in talking with a lot of young people, that's what their vision. That's what they think of you. They think you're a real cool dude. In fact, there's somebody calling me right now to tell me, hey, I like the cool dude.
No, they like your approach. I mean, I like to consider myself young, even though I'm approaching 40. But honestly, it's the approach that you have, the no nonsense at the same token. I mean, even we were talking about just a few minutes ago, as far as your officers when it comes to the school, we can't mess around and contemplate if we're going to run in there. We like the approach that you have, and we stand by it. So I mean,
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I think like you folks, you're good at what you do because you have a passion for what you do. If you have a
Right,
passion
exactly.
and you enjoy it, then it's easy. It's not work, man.
No,
it's fun.
this is not. This is fun for John and I.
Yeah. Right.
Everything that we do, So, well, let's talk about On Patrol Live, since we're talking about being a star of sorts. What piqued your interest in being involved with On Patrol Live? I should tell everybody this is a new series that airs live on Reels, Reelz, Friday, Saturday nights at 9 p.m. And the description of the show, it reunites the on-camera team of hosts and executive producer Dan Abrams and Sergeant Sean Sticks Larkin, retired Tulsa Police Department lieutenant with nearly 25 years of service, alongside Deputy Sheriff Curtis Wilson, who is the division commander with the Richland County Sheriff's Office. And together they will provide minute-by-minute live analysis and perspective for viewers as the series follows police officers and sheriff's deputies live on patrol from diverse departments across America. And Volusia County Sheriff's Office is featured on the show.
Yes.
What piqued your interest?
When it was live PD, I was kind of reluctant to go forward with that because live means anything could happen. There is no pause button.
There's no script.
Right, there's no nothing.
Right.
And we had an incident. I can't remember which incident it was. It might have been a shooting incident where we released the body camera footage. And they picked it up and said to me, we want you and the 2 deputies involved to come up to New York. We want to do a segment on this shooting. This is just, you could just see the training and the way they handled themselves. We want to feature this. Mm-hmm. So we flew up, and we spent the night, and they basically outlined everything that they were doing and what their goal was. And they showed me, it was a sales pitch, really, is what it was. Mm-hmm. And I came back, and I'm like, this is really not a bad thing. because there's so much great work that the men and women do that people never see
You
that.
never see it.
And then when I saw they showed me the ratings, I'm like, this is people who really support the police. Why not do it? Let's do it. So we did, and then obviously what happened, the horrific thing that happened in Minneapolis to George Floyd, and things got shut down. It went away.
Yeah.
And Dan Abrams, I'm probably on his show. I was on his show for a while there, once a week.
Really?
He's on cable. It's Channel 20 here. He's on every night at 8:00. And he would bring me on there and talk about different things. His producer would say, it's coming back. It's coming back. And we want you to be one of the first folks to sign on. So of course, last Friday night we had technical difficulties, so they didn't show anything of us. And then they showed us Saturday, and I think we had a hit and run in Deltona that we were working. And the deputies, I've come to find the deputies really enjoy it. I would think they would think it's cumbersome. They don't want to do it. We have a list of people. We probably have 80 deputies have volunteered. Hey, if I get a chance, I want to ride with them.
Yeah.
Because they want that same thing. They want, I want people to see that I'm not this knucklehead that gets out and screams and hollers and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm very professional. I deal with the public professionally, and I think you're going to see people have a good response to us.
Yeah.
So I said, let's try it. What's the worst thing that can happen?
It's important.
In today's world, anyway, everybody's got their cell phone out there.
Oh,
so
boy.
it's going to get out there.
Yes.
So we might as well have it where we're in charge of it for as much as we can be.
Absolutely. So highlight the good things.
Nowadays, everybody's on candid camera.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just exactly the way it is.
Eye in the sky.
Yep, the eye in the sky.
Can I bring something up?
Let's talk about, what's that?
Can I bring something up? There's one thing that I like about you guys, and that we actually tried this a long time ago, was this simulator.
Yes.
Yeah, I have it on the screen. Can you describe what we're seeing here?
Yeah. What you're seeing here, this was purchased with Parkland funds. What came out was when we train that looks like the back of my head in that
That
video.
is you.
I can tell by the bald spot. What we were able to do is they wanted as much interactive training as you can get. And this company that makes the simulator, I think there's only 5 or 6 in the state that have this. What it does is you walk into a room, as you were there, it's 5 screens, 300-degree simulator that enables the deputies to prepare for active shooter, ambushes, de-escalation scenario, and other high-stress incidents. And again, the Latin phrase is repetitio madre studiorum. Now, my father would be proud of me. 4 years in a Catholic private school, and that's all I know for Latin. 4 years of Latin, that's all I got. I can bless myself, too. But
Good for you.
repetitio madre studiorum is repetition is the mother of learning.
Yes.
So if you're doing it on the simulator, if you're doing it when we have actors, if you consistently drive it home, your response should be instinctive. It should be instinctively to run toward the gunshots. It should be instinctively.
It's not foreign to you.
To make all these things. So that's what the goal of this wonderful piece of technology. We've had them before, and obviously they've emerged just like video games have emerged. What was a one-trick pony, now you could do multiple things.
Yeah.
You could use your taser. You can use your ASP. You can use no weapon at all. It goes through that. And
That was impressive to me. I saw there was like one part where you were just
this
talking.
one right here,
right?
you were just talking.
And that's what it is. She's telling us, hey, up the street, this guy's got my kid. We had a fight. He's threatening to kill my baby. And this is what this is. The guy's got, and there's each scenario can branch off into 20 or 30 different scenarios.
How does this, is there somebody controlling it, or how does
Yeah.
okay, I was
Yeah.
going to say, because how does the computer.
We have several people that are dictating the policy. Now, in this one, it's a domestic disturbance. She says he's armed. He's got the baby. He's going to kill the baby because we're going to divorce. And you got to do
seen
something.
this act. Oh yeah, that was when I was there.
Yeah,
It's so silly.
So the options are: does he throw the baby off the bridge?
Right.
Does he shoot the baby and shoot himself? Does he shoot at you, hoping you'll shoot and kill the baby? So there's so many, or does he just comply with the way you're talking?
For there's a lot of people that support the police. Anytime I see an officer, I say hello. I thank them for what they do. But for those people that are the naysayers, put them in front of one of these simulators real quick. They're going to go, oh wow, it's not that easy.
Most of the hate email that I get, emails and phone calls, are from people not from this state at all, not even from this county. They'll see a snippet on Facebook, which I decry the people that watched, and that's where they get their news from. And people tell me that.
Yeah.
Oh, if I want to see what's going on, I go to Facebook. Really?
Oh boy.
So that video that you saw, where you saw the police officer doing something, you do know that's not the full video.
Right, it's cropped.
They cropped it into a position, and now you're sending me crazy ass emails.
Yeah.
And you're blowing our phones up, and you're telling us we're all pigs and we should die, and you're sending us pictures of ISIS
That's
decapitating a police officer. You don't know the full story behind that, but yet these people see these things. They're like sheep.
They're the first ones to pick up the phone when they need help, though, aren't they?
Oh,
yeah.
Exactly.
as a
Lord, somebody pick on them.
When does a liberal become a conservative? When they become the victim of a crime.
Yep, that's right.
Then all of a sudden, all that defund the police. Now it's, wait a minute, why didn't you respond fast enough? What are you doing here? What technology are you using?
Right.
You know, that's how it works.
Right. Yeah.
You must got my tweets.
That was a good job, Phil, bringing up those simulators there. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. Let's talk about the implementation of the video 911 calls in Volusia County. You had a soft launch involved with that?
We had a soft launch. We went full launch a couple weeks ago. We just did a presentation to all the school principals, another added layer of security, letting them know that if something is going on that campus and they need to call 911, the dispatch will drop you a link. You click the link, and you are now live streaming.
Really?
Wait, hold on.
What's occurring.
For real?
Yeah. It's called Carbine, Carbybne.
Right.
I spelled it right? Because I
Yes,
never
you
spelled that.
You did. Yes.
I feel like I'm in school again. You got it right.
BYNE, that's correct.
And that's what that technology does. And we're every time I go to a community meeting or our deputies, I said, make sure you hand a pamphlet out about carbine, because you could be in your house looking out the window saying, hey, guy's breaking into my car. You call 911, hold the phone up to the window, and now we're watching.
Yeah, that's awesome. The technology. It's like, didn't they used to have a text thing?
We do have text 911 as well.
And that still works?
And that still works. Not too many people do it, but the carbine, because they're whipping their phone out anyway, so why not call 911? And while you're recording it, you still can record from your phone. You're going to keep that. But that data is coming to us as well.
I could see that in some cases. Maybe I'm wrong here, but I could see that actually defusing a situation, because somebody's like, oh, gosh, they got my camera going on. Yeah, I mean, we had the drunk driver I locked up on I-4 about a month ago. The video that was coming into us was amazing, because people were behind this guy. He was going eastbound, crossing all 4 lanes, almost hitting the guardrail, and they slowed down to about 35 and did a nice rolling roadblock so nobody would pass him. The police did, or
the citizens?
Get out of
here!
And
their phones were out. We got tons of video came into us. Unfortunately, I was like, "Why are we doing 35 miles an hour on I-4?"
Right?
And then finally, I started wiggling my way up, and I saw what the hell was going on. I was able to zing around, and once that made the news, people were just saying, "Hey, you want more evidence? Here, let me show you how he almost hit this person, or how he crossed into the median and crossed back over." So it was pretty powerful.
Wow. Are there plans for full implementation?
It's up to the public. We want the public to know. We tried to use it. We had a barricaded suspect down here, not that far from this building in Port Orange, and we tried to do that so he could do face-to-face communications with the negotiators. But unfortunately, he was just an idiot and couldn't work the link.
The criminal?
I don't think he wanted
dumb
to
criminal?
Could you imagine that?
Like that right? Wow.
Well, he had a flip phone. Now
that's why he was so angry. He didn't have access to the technology, I guess. I don't know.
Now, coupled with that, I don't know if you have this in here. We put a new system called Fuchsius in. Do you have that in your notes? Fuchsius is a company that ties in all of the school cameras into one central server.
What?
So how that would work is, let's use Atlantic High School up the street here. God forbid there was an incident in the cafeteria. Say it's an active shooter. The cameras will stream into our real-time crime center and the responding Port Orange police officers' cars and us. Okay. So we would know, okay, the shooter is a white male in blue shorts and a black shirt moving in a northeasterly direction. So now when you respond, you're responding, there's no guesswork, there's no anything. You know exactly where that person is.
Wow, that's huge.
We're also in the process of rolling it out to businesses. Let's just say there's a burglary at Home Depot after hours. We're able to access as we're responding to the alarm, we can access the security cameras and see what the hell is going on inside that location prior to us getting there.
It increases your safety.
Absolutely.
Do you have to have another staff for that, or do the dispatchers watch that, or who's the?
Well, it goes into dispatch and the real-time crime center. We have a real-time crime center that runs 18 hours a day that monitors the police radio. So whenever a crime occurs, they try to get as much data out there as they can. And I'll give you an example. Yesterday was a robbery at the mall in the Volusia County Mall. It was a point-of-gun robbery. 3 males got a woman in the parking lot, took her jewelry, got cash off her.
Day or night? Not that it matters. But
it was day, and I want to tell you, it was in the middle of the day. It was probably around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The analysts were able to access the cameras in real time. And the woman said it was a white car that fled toward the airport. Within probably 5 minutes of the 911 call, we knew the tag number, the direction of travel, and it already had hit a tag reader. Wow. Within 10 minutes, the car was stopped, the gun was recovered, and the suspects were identified.
Because you're not going to win. I don't know what you're thinking. You're not going to get away with this.
And all of that was the work of the real-time crime center. With the 911 call came in, they analyzed the call, they got all the information and started to pull every piece of technology that was there. So,
boy, this technology is really helping you guys something tremendous.
It is. We got rapid DNA we're enrolling. That's helped us solve several murders where the person was reported missing. We located a piece of evidence that had their blood on it. You match it to their toothbrush or their motorcycle helmet, and now you have probable cause to make an arrest because, okay, the person's missing. They got their blood in the back of your pickup truck.
Yeah, what's going on here?
His blood.
Wow.
Boy. Just do what you're supposed to do, and you'll be.
You
okay.
better behave, John. That's
I know.
all I got
I'm
to
getting
tell
ready
you.
to get out of here. Honestly, it's getting a little intimidating.
It's you 40 and under folks you got to worry about.
Yeah, it's millennials or Gen X or that way.
Exactly.
Let's talk about the Occupant with Autism program. We have Phil here and Kristen, our news editor, and Phil, our producer. Both of them have children who are afflicted with autism. Has the community responded well to this program? Overwhelmingly. I think we've got, I might think, if nobody's listening, my staff's not listening, they'll text me if I'm wrong. I think we're close to 200 families in Volusia County have registered for that program. Can you describe it a little bit for our listeners?
Well, the first part of it is every single one of us in the organization, every other year, we have a group out of Orlando comes in and does a great 2-day program to talk about autism, the different levels of autism, how to interact with folks with autism, and then they bring a group of young folks come in who have autism. Mm-hmm. So that gives deputies a feeling for, okay, this is something I need to look for because it's real. We have it. We respond to an autistic kid who is violent and broke up the house, and there's certain things you don't respond that way to.
Right.
I'm thinking of an example in Colorado where the mother said the triggers are sirens. A marked car or uniform will trigger him. Do not send that.
Really?
Okay, he's armed with a knife. We know that, but do not do that. This is a trigger for him. And what did they send? They send a marked car. The guy pulls up with lights and sirens, gets out of the car. The kid rushes the officer, and the officer shoots and kills him. And you say to yourself, and you listen to a 911 call, you're like, what are you doing? The mother laid out. This is how you need to respond. This is what we need to do. Here's who you should really be contacting for me.
So let me ask you a question. Could there ever be a scenario though where they're like, these are the triggers, and look, we don't have a choice. Like then what do you know what I mean? Like
no, we've emerged so much, especially here in Volusia County, where number one, you have the training. Number two, we have the families on board who have registered with us. So that all that's information's in dispatch.
Gotcha.
And then we now have a mental health crisis worker inside of the communication center.
Awesome.
So if that family calls in and is telling a story, they'll transfer over to the mental health worker who will have the brief notes there who can say, how do you want us to respond?
Wow.
Who do you want us to send? If obviously if it's an active situation, it's a different story. But if it's something where, who do we need to contact?
Right.
And we've learned that the hard way. We've had hostage negotiations where, 5 hours into it, somebody says, have you contacted their mental health worker? What mental health worker?
Right, exactly.
And you contact the mental health worker, and 20 minutes later, the whole thing's resolved. And you're like, God damn, it's going to end in a shootout.
Right.
Why didn't we know that?
Right.
So that plays a key role into that. Is that? And the other thing is we are, and I always have been, a huge supporter of the Monarch Academy. The work that they do, and how I got to meet them is when I was police chief in Daytona, the school was on Williamson, and every lunchtime I would run down from my office down around the Speedway and come back, and I'd run by, and the kids would always be outside playing. They would always invite me, come in and play kickball, come in and do this, come in and do that, and kind of adopted them and kind of got the bigger understanding of what a special community this is, and we need to be treated as a special community.
Right.
And I mean that in a good way.
Of course.
These folks are gems, and why should they not get the level of service they deserve from us when something happens?
It's true.
As opposed to being lumped into this is the way we're going to do it because we've always done it that way.
No, that's lack of progress.
That's not acceptable.
No, it's not.
So for listeners who may be interested, where exactly is the Monarch program located?
You're going to ask me that because I was just there. I was just at their graduation. It was up in Flagler County at a ranch up there is where the graduation was. But the Monarch Academy, there's several of them. They do outstanding work. Kids with autism could go there from kindergarten and graduate. The last graduation I was at, two of those, 2 kids had landed jobs, and 2 were going to Daytona State College to further their education.
Oh, wow.
We'll get that
Great.
information, put it on the social media pages.
It's on Williamson Boulevard.
Is it still there? I thought they moved.
That's what Google's telling me.
Yeah, I thought they moved out of there. I could be wrong.
We'll confirm and put it up later. That's no problem.
Yeah,
for our
that
listeners. Just
could
check
be
out the
something
page.
that you could look into.
Yeah, that's really good information because my son, he's nonverbal. He's nonverbal.
wow. Okay.
He's very large, and he gets frightened a lot, and so that worries me a lot because we want him to, we shelter him obviously, but because we worry about interactions with other people, and that's really good that you guys are actually taking the steps for education, your deputies and your staff. That puts us at ease. It really does.
And it's a great. We do it again. My foundation sponsors the training, so it doesn't even cost. It doesn't cost anything. My foundation pays for these folks to come over, and I think we start again in August. We start with the next round of trainings because then we have all these new employees now too. Those kids didn't get that in the academy. They'll get it starting in August.
It's huge. Constantly involving. I like it.
Yeah.
Can residents apply for more decals for their homes or their vehicles, or is there a limit?
No, absolutely. You just go to our website, Volusia Sheriff's Office website, and scroll down there. There's a whole thing about autism and the autism program. You click on there, you register, tell me how many decals you want, and we'll send you stuff.
And the same thing with the seat covers?
Seatbelt covers, yeah. Yeah, we got the seatbelt covers.
Okay.
What's the seatbelt cover?
You could put a seatbelt when you put your seatbelt on.
strap.
When an officer walks up, it'll show you that autism. That the person with the belt.
We've got
has
one.
autism.
Gotcha.
There you go. Man, you're on. You guys are really on top of it.
No, Kristen's right on top of it. Let me tell you.
So check that out. So very good. So now when they walk up to the vehicle, they'll know.
As soon as they look in, you see the seatbelt on. You have somebody in the car who has autism.
And they know that. Okay, and that's really impressive.
That's a great job.
That's mine. Don't take it.
Okay. Very good. I'm
And
impressed.
again, it's something to diffuse the officer's concerns because somebody may be acting in a way inside the car.
Of course.
And let the officer know, hey, maybe you need to turn the radio down. Maybe you need to ask,
Right.
hey, how do we proceed with this stop? To keep
Communication's key. It's always been key.
Anything in life, we all know this. If you don't
Right.
communicate, then we got a problem.
Exactly.
That's the one thing. If you don't communicate, we got a problem.
Right.
Right. And you have people that have some kind of a problem with you, but they won't tell you, won't let you know, but they'll tell everybody. I mean,
How you
that
gonna
just
fix it?
drives me nuts.
Yeah, you can't fix
You know?
anything that way.
No, you can't resolve anything. You can't resolve anything. Here's the next topic is something that it really drives me out of my mind, and that's this homelessness that's going on. I mean, sometimes I feel bad for these people. Like, they're down on their luck. Maybe they have an illness or whatever. But there's an awful lot of them I think are just don't want to work, and that's it.
A lot of
Homelessness is America's Rubik's Cube, and you're exactly right. There's no easy match to it, and it's not this poor person who's down and out on their luck in every one of those things.
No.
There's mental illness, there's substance abuse, but there's people there that are using it for their benefit, whether it's a criminal
100%.
benefit
Yep.
or whatever it may be. I mean, there's I don't know how many homeless we have in the county. We're in the process of doing the count. Just say for the sake of argument, they come up with several thousand. There are several thousand different reasons why. And there are people who just flat out, that's what they want.
It is. There are programs to help those that want help to get out of that situation.
And they won't.
There's one right near our house, which is right near our school, and it bothers me now. Luckily, my children, they don't walk that direction, but still, there's kids that have to walk right past this individual that some of the locals have taken. Oh, he's a good guy. The problem is he sits there and he talks to himself. There's obviously mental illness, right? And not to relate this individual to an animal, but just like an animal, you can't trust 100%. You don't know what's going to happen. This individual that's obviously schizophrenic or something, at some point, something's going to happen, and then it could be too late. A child could get hurt.
I'll share an anecdotal story with you that hammers your point home. 2006, I'm the police chief in Daytona Beach. There's a person who panhandles every day at ISB in Williamson.
Mm-hmm.
Every day that person's there. So I get with the district captain. I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. I want these folks identified. I want to know who they are. I don't want to know it's Mary or Joe.
Right.
And they're a good dude. They're there all the time. I want them identified. They don't have identification. We have a thing called rapid DNA. Get their fingerprint. Find out who the hell they are.
Right.
Well, while they want to tell me what a great guy Joe was,
Right.
Joe killed his wife 10 years ago in Detroit, and there was a warrant out for his arrest. And he had been down there panhandling.
And all the people loved him.
And my cops were buying him coffee and everything. He's a good guy. He sees stuff. He lets us know. Yeah, he's a good guy. He didn't tell you his right name. He's wanted for murder.
Yeah, he's a good guy now. He's trying to hide from what he did.
So
100%.
If you're going to be homeless anywhere with a warrant out for you, where are you going to go? You're going to come to Florida.
Well,
You're not going to Green Bay.
right. But you know what? I'm not home. I don't know. It's a whole thing, man. A lot of these guys are sitting out there. They got some of them have alcohol right there on the street, and it's just. anybody, I don't care if it was somebody that was working at a business in a suit, if he's hanging on the corner every day and there's little kids walking by and something just doesn't jive with me on that. I'm not comfortable with that.
And you don't have to be a cop to figure that out.
Right.
We all have an internal mechanism that tells us this is not right. And when that thing goes off 9 out of 10 times, it's right. It tells us
The
this
thing
isn't
that
right.
gets me is these people, they know to the letter of the law what their rights are and what you can't do to them.
Right.
Oh,
they know that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I was proud of our push. We really, really targeted homeless vets. They really went out and did a good job with that. They really, really did. And I think I would tell you we probably are close to zero that we know of vets that are homeless.
Mm-hmm.
But the hardcore that they ain't coming in from the cold, that's where the issue comes into play, and the criminal element that flows from that. I mean, you'll get a series of car breaks at times. The first place we do is put the helicopter up to where the breaks were, find the homeless camp, and go into the homeless camp.
Really?
Because we know that's what happened. It's either that or the runaway juveniles that I have that are just running rampant all throughout the county.
Yeah.
And the majority of them are coming from Orange and Seminole. To rape, rob, and pillage, and then head back.
It just drives me nuts that the laws, they protect them to a degree. And we down in another county that we have business in, we had a meeting about that because their I forgot what the terminology, but their human rights, they weren't allowed. So what about the human rights of the business owners that are their whole life savings in that business, and it's hurting their business because these individuals that are going to the bathroom right there and everything.
The world has changed.
It really has.
It has turned over to there was a yogurt shop on Beach Street. The guy he quit his job at AT&T and sunk his whole thing into a yogurt shop.
Yep.
And every day he'd come in and they would defecate and urinate and come in and steal and finally he
nothing
closed
could
up.
be done.
Nothing could be done.
That's wrong.
I mean, exactly. I mean, here's a man that invested his whole life savings into this business.
Right.
And here's what did he get for it? He had to shut the business down.
They're protecting the person that's doing the damage.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Exactly.
Now, you guys, we had the news release, and of course, Kristen, our news editor, got it on all our websites, that you guys have partnered up with the staff at First Step Shelter.
Yes.
How's that going so far?
This was really our first week of doing it. And they want to get more aggressive in that outreach to go after and try to crack that code of the hardcore, I'm not leaving this bench, I'm not leaving in front of the school. Mm-hmm. That's what they're trying to crack. Now, they're going to have their work cut out for them because, to get to your point, when you have people, they mean well, and they come over and they give homeless people money, and they know they're making money standing
umbrellas
out there.
and chairs. I mean,
we had a study done years ago. 98 cents of every dollar that you give a homeless male is spent on drugs and sex.
Uh-huh.
And it was like 72 cents of every dollar given to a woman is spent on drugs and sex and alcohol.
Unfortunately, I believe it.
And why are they going to come in when they're getting food, they're getting fed, you're giving them money for booze and drugs and sex, and you're giving them beach chairs and umbrellas? Why?
Right.
Why?
Right.
There's no real reason for that in that lifestyle.
Yeah, they got everything they need.
It's unbelievable.
Nobody's bringing that to my house.
None of our houses.
You know what I mean? So
Now, does the sheriff office help with like hotline calls?
Yeah, we control communications for the entire county. So anything comes in, any type of hotline call would come into us.
As opposed to
for
municipalities?
We dispatch for the municipalities. So if there's a problem in Port Orange, when it gets called in, we would dispatch Port Orange or all the municipalities.
Okay, what role does the sheriff's department play with the Eastern Volusia homeless outreach?
Really, if they asked us for help, we'll provide assistance. Normally, it falls to the municipalities to deal with the homelessness in their city. You know, the county bankrolled the shelter. And again, this outreach program, they reached out to me and said, we're not getting any help from the municipalities. Is there any way you could give us a deputy on an ad hoc way where we can get into these camps and get into these areas and at least have law enforcement presence? I said, yeah, sure, we're with you. If you could help us in any way, we'll do it. So we'll see how it works out.
Excellent. Well, we've covered an awful lot of topics this afternoon and in rapid fashion, which is good. Is there anything that you would like to share with us and say to our audience that we haven't covered?
Yeah, real quick. I'm really proud of, in my 17 years here, I guess I'm here 17 years. I don't know how long, 16 or 17 years, how long I've been here.
Fast.
Juvenile crime has really been close to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have these kids that you see, they get locked up at 13 with a gun. They get locked up at 15 doing a gunpoint robbery. And by the time they're 19, they're in state prison.
It's horrible.
Doing a shooting or doing something really, really violent. On October 1st of this year, with the help of the county and ARPA funds, we are opening a juvenile assessment center.
Right.
It's going to be out on 92 in the old United Way building. County bought the building. We're bringing it up to code. And what happens is every single juvenile that law enforcement comes in contact with will be taken there first, where they will be given a head-to-toe assessment for mental health, substance abuse issues, and they're also screening the family. So if the kid gets locked up for a gunpoint robbery and he's going to go to a secure facility, he still goes there first. And then they come up with a plan of how do we treat this.
So you can try and instead of just putting them in the system, you can try and fix it and correct it.
Correct.
I like it.
And as opposed to waiting 6 months or a year to go see a psychologist or a psychiatrist, they're going to get an appointment within days. Now, it's up to the family to, you can lead the horse to water. If the family doesn't want to participate, there's not a hell of a whole lot I could do. But each one of those kids will be assessed. Now, the second part of that is I get countless emails from parents who say, my kid's acting out. Their grades are dropping. They're hanging around with the wrong crowd. I searched their room. I know they're smoking weed or doing something else. You could bring your child there and get non-law enforcement and get your child assessed and get into a program immediately. We have somebody who's going to coordinate your health insurance if you come in there and you want to do that. It's the school board. It's the DCF. It's DJJ, Department of Juvenile Justice, Department of Children and Families. It's House Next Door, Halifax Behavioral.
Wow.
And I'm missing one other entity. They'll all be there under one roof. So each kid that comes through the door.
A lot of resources.
24/7. That was the goal. Get everybody in one spot.
Yeah.
Because after the 12-year-old and the 14-year-old opened fire on us, and you looked and saw how many times they had been Baker acted or how many times they'd been in
Yeah, that's
foster
another
homes,
thing.
you're like,
how did they get out?
what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Right.
What are we
Yeah.
doing?
Right.
So that's the exciting part. We're looking to go. I guess 7 deputies volunteered to work because we have to have security, and if a kid has to be transported somewhere, so I have 7 deputies. That'll be their full-time job to do that.
Yeah.
And we are really excited. The Attorney General, Ashley Moody, is behind us 1,001%, as is the Director of Juvenile Justice for the state.
And did I hear you correctly? You check out the family as well?
Everybody gets screened.
See,
Find out what
that
the
is
hell
so
going on here.
important because I think a lot of these problems at home is because nobody's looking after them. The parents, some of them just don't care about the kid, and they're themselves are criminals. That's where the kids learned it from.
You watch dad kick mom's ass.
Yep.
And then you think that's how I treat all women. It's okay to kick her. Or I go visit dad in jail. Dad's there for a robbery, and this is all the people he's associated with. So maybe this is the road I need to go to.
Yeah.
So I'm not telling you we're going to save everybody, but I think there's a lot of those kids that first foray in. If you discover what the problem is, maybe there's not a second foray or a third or a fourth.
Right.
So
I like
we'll
it.
see.
I think it's a positive move.
Oh, it's very, very, very positive. I think it's fantastic. These are tremendous, innovative things that you're bringing to our county for us. And we want to thank you for taking your very valuable time to come and talk with us this afternoon. I know a lot of our listeners are going to be very appreciative of it. I can tell the phones are going to be ringing and saying, when's it going to be on again? When's it going to be on again? So thank you very much for doing that.
I will extend an invitation to you guys. We're shooting for October 1. It might be a little later on October, but if you guys want to come out and do your podcast out at that center,
Absolutely.
Awesome.
and we'll have all the providers at the table there.
That'd be
and
great.
You could see
It's done. We're there.
Book
go.
it.
We're there.
Book it.
Book
It'd
it,
be
Dano.
perfect.
Book it, Dano. Thank you. We appreciate
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Alrighty, guys. So we would like to go ahead and once again thank today's sponsor of the Lowdown podcast, Country Inn and Suites by Radisson, located in beautiful Port. Easy for me to say, beautiful Port Orange, Florida. After a day at the beach, head to the free laundry facilities here at Country Inn and Suites by Radisson. Wash the sand and salt out of your swimwear. Relax at their heated outdoor pool. Even this time of year, it's good at nighttime. When you want to break from the sightseeing or hold a family party at the patio, complete with a barbecue grill. If you need to prep for a meeting, visit the business center to take advantage of printing services. And in the mornings, you can fuel up for more Port Orange adventures at the free hot breakfast featuring the signature waffles here at Country Inn Suites by Radisson. So again, guys, you can book your stay at portorangeconnection.com/Country Inn and Suites. And next week on the show, next episode will be on August 19th. That's the next episode of the Lowdown. And we're going to have special guest Action Tree Care owners, Amber and Eli. And what we're going to be discussing not only is the importance of trimming your trees before the hurricane season, because we know how big it is here in Florida, but also the importance of hiring a reputable company with the correct certifications.
Yeah, you just can't take anybody with a chainsaw. You got to know an actual arborist, and that's what they are.
And please, do not just take anybody that knocks on your door, because we hear horror stories. There's insurance issues when things go wrong. So we're going to talk to some people that are certified with expertise in the area. It'll be a really good show. That's again August 19th at 2:00.
You know, I want to correct something because in our open, I said that every month, the first Friday of every month is when we do our lowdown, and this is obviously today is the last Friday, but this was a very special because we were able to get Sheriff Chitwood to agree to come on with us now, so we moved it up real quick.
Yes, and the August 19th one, we've actually out of special requests. We're starting to increase those. So when we first started, it was the first Friday of every month, and now we're changing and we're adding more to it.
Keep listening.
Check us out on Facebook and all our different outlets.
Those platforms, and we'll be announcing any specials or anything like that.
So
in our normal time,
we had an absolute blast. It was an honor to actually get to
so
sit
much
down with you one-on-one.
I was honored to be with you, gentlemen and lady.
Yes, she's the one who keeps us all.
Kristen is the one that actually did all these talking points. She keeps me in the right lane.
Yep. And
she's behind every great man is a greater woman.
That's what I always
absolutely.
say.
There you go.
Right.
That's a married man right there.
Okay. So thank you so much again. Appreciate your participation.
All right.
All right. Awesome.